bringing family history to life with AI. All right. Hello there, Lori Ryan, Dan Wagner, for the Daily AI Experiment. Episode 21. How about that? It's like we got blackjack today. And I feel like I won like the lottery or the pot with what I figured out on Friday. And I can't wait to have a little extra time to run through it all with you.
That's wonderful.
How does that sound?
Wonderful. So I just saw a family photo. How does this tie in?
Well, many years ago. Well, actually, there was an article in the St. Paul Daily News back then about my family and their trip over. And my great aunt happened to write this article 7 months after arriving in the US as part of an English class. And so many years ago, my mom like laminated some of this article on this piece of cardboard. And it's literally been sitting upstairs in my attic for so many years. I don't know, but like the lamination's coming off, it's a mess. And so I'm finally like there's got to be a digital copy, right? Somehow you got this, Mom. So she sent me down the right avenues, the Minnesota Historical Society, the Gale Family Library, and they were able to send me the digital.
I worked on that.
You did?
Yeah.
Amazing. So that copy arrived in my mailbox on Friday, the digital copy. And I went to work and I took that digital copy.
Okay.
And I imported it into ChatGPT. And the first thing that I asked it is, can you summarize this? And that's where I learned that it couldn't extract the text.
Oh.
So I needed a way, and I had to ask ChatGPT, like, well, what are tools to extract text? And the one I used was Amazon Textract, but it wasn't easy to figure out. I had to go back and forth, do some screenshots. And throughout the day in other conversations, I learned Claude. Actually, Claude.ai does a great job with text extract.
Wow.
So I extracted the text and
explain for everybody the process. So
ChatGPT was first. Okay, and I feel bad. I should have planned more with my visuals, but the best way for me to do it, I'll probably just kind of go through my blog where I documented all the steps because that'll have all my links in it. Does that sound okay? Give me just a minute to get that ready.
And make sure everyone knows the link to the blog so they can review it at their leisure.
All right. So I am ready to present. Share screen, entire screen. Share. So let me know if you see it.
It's coming up. Here it is.
Okay.
I love it. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
That was me with the article. And here, notice too, how when I got the digital copy, even how it was faded on the left.
Okay. Yeah.
It didn't seem to matter when I extracted it, but you can see here how I used ChatGPT to figure out how to do the OCR, the optical character recognition, to figure out what this text was on here because ChatGPT was not able to do it.
Wow. So I don't mean to like bring old tech into the equation here, but I know that the iPhone has the ability to read text.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So sometimes you'll take a picture and it'll have the little square brackets with lines in it. That is, you can click on that and it'll show you all the text that's in an image.
Ooh, cool. I didn't even know that.
I think, so anyhow, but I don't know if it would be able to do all that. That seems like a lot of text.
It's a lot. It was like 6 pages or something. But here's, me, this is just an example of interacting, right, with Amazon Web Services. This was a picture of my screen and I got stuck. I'm like, I don't know, what am I doing? Now what, right?
Right.
And you can see how it kind of gives me step by step. And then I realized a lot of people don't know what a text file might even look like. So I wanted to be able to show that this is how it came out. Like impossible really just to read it like a human, but it was what the computer needed to do it. And what's interesting about this, when the text file came out, and something I didn't pick up on right away, is AI assumed the name Isidore was a girl. So as I was having all of these conversations, it would say, let me introduce you to the family. And it was these 4 sisters. And thank goodness my mom was testing it, because she's like, it wasn't 4 sisters, Lori. Isidore is a boy. There was a brother in there. So it kind of reminded me the importance of having people review, check things, because as we know, these tools can make mistakes. And I'm sure there was nothing in the article that really made that obvious.
Interesting. So yeah, Isidore. Yeah, I think, the funny thing is I would maybe assume it was a girl's name as well.
Like an Izzy,
Yeah. But, that's historical context as well. And it's probably really, you would think that, at least you could say, tell me a little bit about each of these siblings, and then say, and then you could feed it back in, say, well, by the way, Isidore is a boy, not a girl. And hopefully it would remember that and move forward, right?
Yep. So that's when I built this custom GPT, right? And so the goal of this was, so we have tons of cousins all over the globe. And so now they all have access to try and test it, ask questions, and it felt like the information is much more accessible than trying to write that article that was faded and and it made it much easier. Now, you want to know what I learned going through this?
What's that?
As I was testing this, I would ask it, well, tell me about my grandma. And my grandma's woven into the story a little bit, but it did make up stories. And I'm like, tell me where that information was in what was shared with you. And it's like, well, what we've done is we've taken context from what we learned about your grandma in the story and the events of that day. And we came up with these potential different situations that would fit in.
Wow.
Like, people using the tool, right? It's really important for them to recognize, right, what's fact and what's fiction. And it reminded me kind of like when you go to a movie, right? Like The Complete Unknown. While there is definitely some probably real life events in there, there is some fiction in there too. And so then I have to make the decision, and I haven't done it yet, is do I want it to keep some of these other narratives in there to give the story more flavor if the tool acknowledges that? Or do I want it to strictly answer what it is trained on, and anything else say, I don't know?
Yeah. So I wonder if you want to say, regarding the events of the people who are included in this document, stay strictly to the information that's provided, but feel free to give historical context that is going on in parallel during these times. Does that make sense? Because I think that could add some flavor to it, make it interesting.
It did. I was like, wow.
That's perfect.
But I think it's important that whoever is taking it in understands it's not factual.
Yeah. Well, the story, the historical context can be factual, but please don't apply the historical stay strictly to the document.
Correct.
For the people's stories.
So this is currently still in testing as we talk today. More family members need to use it. We have to decide how to update it and refine it, right? Which is key whenever you're building a GPT. These opportunities, make sure you're testing it, reviewing the information, asking things that might not necessarily be part of the GPT's training to see how it responds.
Yes.
So then from here, I'm like, I need these milestones. I want a list of locations. Like, I can't picture like where they started and where they went. And ChatGPT struggled with that. It couldn't, even from that text file, it wasn't able to give me a list of dates and locations. It could be because I wasn't a good prompter, but I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Okay. So this is where I went to Notebook LM. Oh. And this was incredible, right? This was able to take my sources, right? The PDF, the raw text file, and create timelines. And it, gave me an entire list of everything, and create frequently asked questions, and create all of these different documents that I could convert into sources.
Nice.
Yep, it was fabulous.
So now, have you made that public to your family members?
So here's what I learned with Notebook LM, if you can still see my screen.
I can.
There is no way for me to make this a public link. It can only be within people within my organization. So I'll start loading this now. But the only way to share it, I think, is to record it.
Okay.
And if you can figure that out, I'd love your help beyond that. But it was cool because then I created the podcast here and I interjected myself. And I'm like, oh, by the way, my grandma's Sarah, who now goes by Sally. And it's like, oh, so cool. And it kind of worked me into the conversation. But
I love it.
Also helps with all of these things. It can create all of this additional information. And the timeline, I'll show you what it did. Key top, I'm going to make that small, but it put everything in here in the timeline, which I couldn't get ChatGPT to do easily. And it was much easier here with Notebook LM.
Makes sense. Okay? Yeah.
And then I could just ask any questions as I went. And then I could also, as I updated the sources, then I would update the podcast, because originally the podcast was talking about Four Sisters. Okay. And if you watch my video in here, it's talking about Four Sisters, because I did get a clip of the audio track.
Oh, and look, a timeline. You happen to use Napkin?
And here's why. Because I'm like, how can I visualize that timeline better than what we just saw? So I took that text timeline from Notebook and I put it in Napkin. Fun. And this is just a piece of it. But I liked how it did that. I found that much easier to read.
It's great. Instant visual orientation.
Yep. And it gets better.
Oh.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
There is an app called Lovable.dev that you also introduced me to. And when I was showing this in a call with a group called the AI Salon, they're like, you could make this an interactive journey. And so I took the timeline that was created in Notebook LM and copied it into this tool that builds an interactive website for you. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm kind of scared.
I don't know if you can hear it.
No, I can't.
And that's fine. You don't need to. But what you're going to see is that it took all of the locations and we asked it to put dots on the map so that if people clicked on the dot, it would give them a summary of what happened there based on the raw text as well. How cool is this?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But it really brings the history to life, and you have control over as you go, right? Like, what do I want to look at? But it really helped me visualize how far they went and how long it took them to get to different locations.
Well, this is all interesting, and I know it all. Your conversation started at the Minnesota History Center. Wouldn't it be neat to kind of maybe provide a tool set for the Minnesota Historical Society so people can do the same thing that you just did? Wouldn't that be fun?
I totally think so too. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Okay, let me turn you on.
I think I got it now that you taught me how to drive.
Wow. You and my two sons, I've taught you all how to drive.
How to drive. But the whole thing, I think, too, shows that different tools are good at different parts of things to make it all come together. But I love your idea of bringing more history to life and giving them the tools to do that, maybe with more of the documents and resources that they have. It made learning fun. And I learned more about that journey than I ever have since I had that sitting in the attic. I don't think I've ever read the whole thing. And now I'm like, it came alive for me.
Yeah, it's so funny, and of course we all go through different phases in our life where all of a sudden something comes to the forefront And it's like, how did that sit there for so long? It's so fascinating, so interesting, connects with me or you know, whoever at such a deep level, something I can share to help connect me with my community, with my family. It's beautiful.
You know what I could do now? I know how I could share a little bit of the sound in the video. I learned the trick. If I share my screen, if you care, and I do it with the tab instead of
right.
then it should work. So if that's okay,
would you do that? That'd be great.
Do you mind listening to a little bit? I think it is so cool. Are you ready?
We'd love to. Yes.
All right, let's jump into a story. A story I think you'll find fascinating and moving. We're going to be exploring the Levinson family's epic journey.
Epic is right, 14,000 miles.
Yeah, a 14,000-mile trek from Russia to America back in 1918. And you know what makes this deep dive especially captivating is we're experiencing it all through the words of 16-year-old Bertha Levinson.
Wow.
Imagine, just 7 months after arriving in St. Paul, Minnesota, she sat down and wrote a firsthand account of this 8-month odyssey. And of course, this was a time of World War, revolution, incredible upheaval.
It's not just a teenage diary, though. It's really powerful because it captures this pivotal moment in history, but from a deeply personal perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a window into a world of, well, chaos and upheaval.
Right.
Seen through the eyes of someone not only navigating the external dangers, but also these internal struggles.
Yes.
Of identity and resilience.
Yeah. Okay, so let's set the scene. Russia in 1918. World War I has just ended, but the country is in the throes of the Bolshevik Revolution. What can you tell us about the atmosphere that the Levinsons were living in? The forces that would have driven them to undertake such a perilous journey? I mean, it's hard to even imagine.
Well, that's amazing.
Who wants to join? Hey, go for it.
Hi. Sarah is in the article. That's my grandma. I would love to hear more about the family.
Hi there. So glad you decided to chime in.
It's great to have you with us.
Okay, let's jump into a story. A story I think you'll find fascinating and moving.
It sounds like it.
We're going to be exploring the Levinson family's epic journey.
Epic is right, 14,000.
Oh, yeah.
Were you able to hear that Sarah's my grandma? And I really want to hear more about the family.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
No way. That's amazing.
It's so special that you have this personal connection.
It makes our story even more meaningful.
Knowing Sarah is your grandmother makes this so much more real.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, let's dive deeper into the family story then.
All right. That's it.
That's cool. That's so great. Here, you got us going. So, well, yeah, I'm sure everyone at home's blown away because that was amazing. And the story just so rich. You know, I'm always impressed at how Notebook LM is so emotive. You know, I feel drawn in, and the way their use of language is as good as any, you know, as any storyteller would tell if they had, you know, 40 hours to work on it, and they crank it out in, you know, a minute. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and I can't wait to hear the rest of it. So what do you got to do to make sure Isidore is recognized as a guy?
I had to go back and retrain it.
Can you just say it in the Notebook LM? You'll just say.
So one thing I did in the Notebook LM is I created a new note, and I said, correction, Isidore is a boy. Isidore is not a girl, and I can regenerate the podcast. And when I put in the note to like correct, this is make sure all references are Isidore is a boy, and it's not 4 sisters, it's 3 sisters and a brother. The first time the podcast went through with that note saying that, it's like, hey, we need to make a correction from the last time. We had said that it was 4 sisters, and the podcast actually recognized within it that it made a mistake. And so then I went to do it again without the correction. I think I did that. But either way, if you still hear it, that's why.
That's so interesting because, you know, it's dealing it like it's a retraction from a story, you know?
Yes.
Which is crazy. That's so crazy. It's like, you know, it's like saying this thing's already published, it's out in the world. We're gonna submit a retraction here.
Correct. So that's how they handled it.
I'm surprised. I mean, it just shows what an amazing tool the Notebook LM is. And it's really, again, I mentioned this before, but it's trying to be super ethical as an educational, as a scholastic tool. And so it's bringing these time-honored traditions of retractions and how you deal with data and things like this. And it's I'm blown away. So
thanks for letting me share. It was really fun to talk about it out loud. Writing about it and journaling, in the blog is one thing, but saying it is really fun.
So
if they really, I was like, holy cow, look what I did in a few hours in one day.
That's crazy, because I mean, you think of the stories, we have all these sorts of stories and movies that come out and radio dramas and all this stuff. And it took so long to create those. And you're able to create something that's representative, that's moving, that the person can feel completely immersed into the experience. I mean, just that little snippet you shared just brought me to this sense of, the Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, and I just love it. I love it. I love history, and I love that you were able to do that. So that's so cool. So what's that?
No coding either. This is just everyday Lori.
Everyday Lori.
Around, pushing buttons.
So yeah. So, and you used Lovable to do the little video drill down into the locations. That's pretty cool.
And here's where I need your help, Dan. Okay. I got the key, right, from whatever map thing it connects to.
Yes.
But I can't make that public yet. I haven't figured out, because it keeps asking me to enter a key, and I don't want to make the key public. So maybe you and I go offline and you show me how to take it to that next step so it can be a public link.
I think we could do that. So, well, that was really exciting. I think people who are watching this are going to be like, I got to do that. I've got a family story. I've got, my Aunt Clara created this little journal of her story across the Great Plains or whatever. And anyhow, so that's just so beautiful and fascinating. I'm so excited. So if someone goes to your blog, can you you'll point us to the blog in the show notes, or?
Sure. Perfect. I'll put the link in the description of the video.
And good idea. Is there an easy to remember URL?
LoriGnight.com. And then click on blog, and as it was published, what is this, middle of January 18?
Very good.
17?
Very good.
I don't know, something like that.
Well, I'm excited. You asked me if I saw it, and it's like, I thought I saw it, but now that you showed it, maybe I didn't go there yet. So I can't, maybe I just saw my name. I said, oh yeah, you can use my name. Anyhow, so I'm excited to listen to it. I'm sure it's phenomenal. And are you saying that the current version that's on the blog will be updated with the LLM, the notebook LLM with Isidore as a brother, or we still got to do that?
So if people, I don't know how to make that public yet so that they can actually listen to the whole notebook. The only way I know how to do that is record it. So if you know how I can publish or make that page available for other people, let me know.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. All right. Well, thanks so much, Lori. That was great. What a fun one. What a great way to start off the week, by the way.
Who knew Monday could be so much fun?
I know. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like. We need to push this. I think everyone's learning something valuable. A friend of mine says, I'm swamped with AI videos. And I'm like, oh, you're creating AI videos. He's like, no, I'm watching yours. I'm trying to upgrade my knowledge. And I think we, anyhow, we'll talk about why he's like the perfect audience. Maybe we'll talk about that some other day. But anyhow, so hope everyone's enjoying these videos. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you'd like to see. We'll jump on it. We're here for you. We want to be useful, and anyhow, that's what we're here for. So everybody have a great day. Thanks, Lori. We'll talk soon. All right, bye-bye.